Right, after many long hours of being bad at editing, I've finally reached the final part, Ghost of the Babe. This map is a bit more of a wild card, with some of the more wacky and light-hearted areas, as well as some darker and more mysterious ones. Also, the main map, sorry Philosopher's Forest, I'll still analyse you, but you are kind of irrelevant, only consists of 7 areas, as opposed to the main game in New Babe Plus having 9. Despite this, looking at a very useful Reddit post, the map is still longer than the base game. Wait just a minute, news in. If you include Philosopher's Forest, Ghost of the Babe is by a fair margin longer than both New Babe Plus and the main game, with a staggering 63 screens to New Babe Plus's 56 and main game's measly 43. On top of this, Ghost of the Babe is by far the most punishing map, with only a couple of measly half checkpoints that don't really count. And, between checkpoints, literally 90% of the falls send you right back to the start of the checkpoint, or even further down if you're unlucky. This all means that the map took me 40 hours to beat on my first try, and still took the most time by a comfortable margin on my second. Although this area isn't a part of the main map, it still deserves a mention for its whimsical and bright tone. Luckily, unlike New Babe Plus, where you have to beat half the main game to even access the DLC, again, unless you're a coward, the entrance to the forest is just in Red Crown Woods. This area features lush greenery, a guy giving you cool hats, and a beautiful soundtrack that's jolly and bright, just like the level it belongs to. Oh god, where do I even begin? Okay, let's all just be thankful that this is the first area, so you can only fall so far. I don't know whether the devs were just having a bad day here, or they're plain evil, but this area has not one, but 2 game-changing hazards simultaneously. The area is underwater and snowy, with the snow being replaced by bog gunk, meaning you can't position yourself and the jumps are messed up anyway. This area has this dark, oppressive atmosphere, and the ambience, tone, and colour scheme all work together to just make you want to escape and see the light again. The area is especially depressing as you have to actively fall down all the way to the bottom from the end of Philosopher's Forest, meaning you can see the end of the area before you even beat it, which just enhances the desire to escape. Although, if you do end up giving up, you can at least chill with the cool night at the bottom. Let's just get this out the way. This theme song rivals the Bargenberg jingle in catchiness. I can vividly hear the song playing in my head as I write this script, and I bet I'll hear it even after I've made the video. This catchy and upbeat melody, combined with the much brighter, albeit still disgusting, visuals, make the area a nice reprieve from bog. This does, however, make the couple of streamer jumps that send you back to bog all the more tense, as the area acts as a half checkpoint. The cool thing I noticed while playing through Moulding Manor is, despite being very similar to False King's Castle, in terms of being a bright and beautiful piece of architecture left to rot or fall apart, the music, and Jolly Pink Guy in Moulding Manor, makes the areas polar opposites in terms of mood. It just goes to show how far a good soundtrack can enhance or straight up reverse an area's atmosphere. After the reprieve of Moulding Manor, we're back to another relatively gloomy and melancholy area, with a mournful melody playing in the background and a similar but much darker colour scheme to the manor. The gimmick of this area is the slimy puddles on some of the platforms acting as ice. Yay, my favourite. And this area can be very punishing, but you ain't seen nothing yet, being able to send you pretty much to the start of the manor from any point. You can also chase around a fly here until he leaves you a note gloating about being able to fly. What a piece of garbage. Anyway, when you see the second half checkpoint at the end of this area, it's another clear Chapel Perilous or False King's Keep moment. As all the previous areas consisted of greys and greens, you can see the bright orange light, which is so refreshing. Unless you miss a jump, that is. Oh my god, I love this area. If it could be described in a single word, it would be cozy. It's clearly inspired by False King's Keep, with the blue snow outside instead of the rain, and the same bright orange light within, but this time with cats. I mean, when have cats ever made anything worse? Come on, they even talk to you. Even if you're a cat hater, I won't believe you don't find this area relaxing. The building is akin to an alpine lodge, with books lining the walls and these cute little cat head lanterns that you have to jump on. They almost remind me of the columns in Black Sanctum with the diagonal sides, although the two areas couldn't be more different. The music here is just as cozy, with a cute little melody playing to complement the cute little kitties. It's just the perfect checkpoint area, but it's still not as good as Hidden Kingdom, and it's probably the area the average person spends the most time in during their playthrough, as there's only 2 streamer jumps that can send you back to Bugstalk, and these are in the area above, and even if you have a second chance not to screw it up. Much like Hidden Kingdom, however, I remembered my past trauma of falling all the way back to the bog and was extra careful and managed not to fall back once. However, due to the lack of edges in some of the following areas, most of the falls after here, even up to the penultimate area, skip an ungodly amount of screens and send you right back to Kitty Palace. How fun. This area has some of the more spooky vibes in the map, matching the dark grey colour scheme of Black Sanctum but going one step further, with the sky turning completely black at the top. This is also the location of the fake out ending, which looks just like the top but isn't. The gimmick here is similar to the Dark Tower and Hidden Kingdom in New Babe Plus, with some illusionary platforms that hint at where they are by sometimes showing you their outlines, allowing you to perform some jammy skips if you can spot them. The song here is just as spooky as the area, but is also really powerful, with a fast-paced tune along with some slower strings and opera in the background, helping to motivate your climb. This is another Lost Frontier type area, where I love the music and general vibes, but my time is always cut short by a gut-wrenching fall all the way back to Kitty City. Speaking of the music, the Bargainberg tune makes an unexpected reappearance here, but is somehow even more catchy with a hip-hop remix. The gimmick here is the waterfalls, which slow your jumps like in the water levels, but are frustratingly inconsistent due to you popping in and out of them, meaning you have to end up just having to remember the power levels needed for each jump. What I think adds to the mystique of this area is where the waterfalls come from. There is this huge fella at the top with the waterfall spouting from his mouth. Did he halt the ruins? Were they halted to stop him? Why the hell are there smoking demons here? It's just cool to ponder before you fall. One more thing I just quickly want to mention. The parkour on the frozen birds is probably the coolest idea I've seen for making platforms in a platformer. Now, there are some kinda checkpoints here, but I can't even go as far as to call them half checkpoints, so I'll go ahead and call them third checkpoints. Now I'm going to have a rant about how unfairly punishing this area is, leading to at least 2/3, if not 3/4 of my playthrough being stuck here and in the next area. So, if you're not interested, just skip through this section. I won't take offence. I also hate the sound of my own voice. Anyway, the main culprit for my undying hate for this area, the platforming, not the area itself, are these 3 stupid jumps around the chilling demons. No matter whether you undershoot or overshoot them, you will always fall all the way back through 2 full areas to Kitty World. What the hell, Nexile? That's 3 flawless jumps every time, and there's a few jumps later on that send you back below them, meaning you're constantly at risk of losing all your progress. I'm not even going to talk about the bird jump I messed up in that falling video. I don't want to dredge up that trauma. I'll save it for my therapist. This area is just pure stress. Let's get the elephant out the room first. Almost anywhere you fall in this area sends you back to the midpoint of Halted Ruins. Luckily after the 3 jumps of death, but still really far, especially if you're right at the top. This is all thanks to the new hazard, sinking sand. You know how in Jump King, you're supposed to be calm and methodical, which allows you to have as much time as you need for jumps? Well, not anymore. This sand forces you to keep jumping, either to the next platform or in place until you reach solid ground. On top of this, it acts like water in that you need to give your jump some extra power to escape and reach the next platform, meaning you always end up undershooting every jump, and, if you're like me, you then end up overcompensating and start to overshoot them instead. And, if that wasn't enough, if you end up face planting by falling a certain distance, you can only sit and watch as all your progress melts away as you sink uncontrollably. although I guess I can't complain too much. The area is literally set in hell. Speaking of, I love how the very tower is composed of tortured souls, whose tormented faces show through the bricks. The colour scheme is equally hellish, with dark reds and crimsons backed by a vibrant orange sky, making it look consumed by flames. The music here also really adds to the stress caused by the hazard, with a rapid synth similar to the rapid organ. I couldn't really tell what the instrument was in the Phantom Tower. I always thought that this synth, combined with the bass and other instruments, gave the area an 80s Doom kind of vibe, which, if that's what they were going for, they nailed. Anyway, the tower ends similarly to New Game Plus, with a much cooler black hole instead of the moon, and you can acquire the most badass cosmetics in the game. I love the cape, man. There's not much else I want to talk about here, except how each DLC has depicted a kingdom left to ruin, but they have each done it in their own unique way, coming up with unique colour schemes, hazards, and whimsical little characters. Like in Ghost of the Babe, it's mostly greens, showing a kingdom that has become overgrown and covered in mould, forests, and bogs. In New Babe Plus, it's mostly blues, which depicts a kingdom that has been frozen over, and in the base game it's mostly greys, with the kingdom being abandoned and left to ruin. This gives the areas a cool connected feeling, and gives each map its own character. The game would be special to me, and playing through the maps again has cemented that view. I never thought that a stupid rage game would end up as one of my all-time favourite indie games, and really one of the most influential games I've ever played. But it has. And if you somehow watched all 3 of these videos and somehow not got sick of my incessant rambling and are wondering what I might do next, I've got some other videos planned, and I'll give you one word as a hint, but more like a complete giveaway. Souls-like, and just souls as well. Anyway, once again, please inflate my ego. I don't know for sure, but some of my earlier videos have got more views than I have friends who care about these videos, so maybe some of you have got to the conclusion and helped me out, so thanks. Also, I can confirm that more than 2 random people have seen these videos, which passes my view goal, so this video and the New Babe Plus one are completely justified. Bye for now, I guess.